focusing our attention on military veteran services through an event hosted by the Colorado Business Roundtable called Colorado Gives a Damn, supporting Valor Bridge, Association of the United States Army, the Denver Centennial Chapter, and the Warrior Bonfire Program. And today we have with us actually a ReGroup Foundation. We have Trenda and Paul Snetzinger with us. And ReGroup Foundation is not necessarily associated with Colorado Gives a Damn, but it is a very important veteran service. And you guys got your start in Texas. Antonio Ruiz.
Yes.
Yeah, Ruiz. Excuse me. And so you guys, they're moving to Colorado, right? They're opening a second location.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us all about ReGroup Foundation, what that is.
So ReGroups, we're going on about our third year of being in existence. And the concept is we want to help our veterans transition from military life into civilian society. Antonio and Stephanie, who is the other founder, they started this concept in Texas about 3 years ago. It's currently in progress of being built. And what it's going to consist of is a community or a ranch, depending on how you want to word it, that's going to house veterans as well as their families, if need be, on site for up to 18 months for free. It's going to be a program that teaches them and shows them how to adjust to a life without specific direction and boundaries and orders and all of that, because that's part of the hardest transition part. It was started because Antonio himself, when he left the military, he struggled with the transition program or process. He didn't know what to do. He didn't know where to go. He did end up spending some time in prison because he was lost. And when he was in prison, he was like, if I had these steps and these guidances and all of that, I could have made a better difference. And so that's where the concept was born. And he met Stephanie, and she agreed with him. And she has a son that was in the Air Force, and kind of the same thing. He learned that what he had learned in the Air Force wasn't necessarily going to be the tools that he needed to find the career that he wanted. And so he was starting to question everything. And so as the mother of a military, she knew that something needed to be done too.
Right. The biggest, I guess you could say, issue is when we get out of the military, the transition the process is like the last 2 or 3 months they say, we're going to work on helping you build a resume, or we're going to help you do whatever to phrase your job in the military to civilian life. Well, once that day comes that you're done with the military, there's nothing after that. There's no transitioning. It's like they hold your hand throughout the military, or they train you and do whatever throughout the military, and then boom, there's that cutoff date, and then there's nothing after that. So this is what ReGroup is trying to do, is trying to help you with that transition, because me, myself, when I got out, I had my first enlistment. I was done. I was like, okay, I'm done. I'm an infantry guy, jump out of planes, learn how to shoot at people, whatever. And the transition from going from the military to civilian life, there was I mean, how do you word what you did in the infantry as and make it applicable skills to the civilian life? So they basically told me, well, you could be a logger in Montana, or you can be a cop, and then a cop to be a police officer, they've got to retrain you. So you're basically starting from the same position as a 19-year-old kid with right out of high school, or so there's no transitional thing for military. It's you're done with your service, okay, goodbye.
Right. There's no real. You've done all of these amazing things, right? A lot of our guys that whether they end up deployed in a war zone or not, they do amazing things everywhere throughout the country, right?
Exactly.
They've got these awesome jobs, engineers and doctors and all sorts of things that they have military training for, but there's no accreditation, right? There's
Exactly.
no job history. And so I can imagine it's that lost feeling. It's tough, right?
Right.
Because we train, you know, if you go through school and if you don't decide to enlist, you're kind of prepared for college life.
Exactly.
Right?
Right.
Right? Whereas if you go military, it's not the same.
Well, we could
Exactly.
take it a little bit step further, you know, with the college, or you've got the job skills, but what about rental history? What about some kind of living history? You go and apply for an apartment or try to find an apartment or get a house or something. You've got no rental history because you lived in the dorms or the barracks. How are you supposed to get a place to live if you have no rental history?
Right. Your credit score is terrible, even though it's not bad credit.
Right.
It's not like
Yeah.
you've run
It's
up
not
a bunch
established.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not there.
Exactly.
Which is worse a lot of times, actually, if you're applying for a
Right.
loan.
Right.
Exactly. Exactly.
Goodness, I didn't even think about that aspect of it.
Yeah. So ReGroup on these ranches, one of our main focuses is self-sustaining living. Not only to teach these veterans, you know, the different aspects of self-sustainment, but eventually we also want it to serve as a revenue for the ranch. We don't always want to depend on donations and grants. We want to make our mark. We want to help the community. We want to provide the fresh vegetables and fruits and all of that to our local community and other nonprofits, food banks and whatnot. The biggest part of our self-sustainment will be vertical fish aquaponics.
Oh, neat. I just
Yes.
recently heard about this. If you want to give a brief overview of,
Well,
if you can.
in
Yeah.
the most vagueness of it is basically you have a tank, a holding tank of fish, tilapia or whatever, goldfish. The water recycles into the vertical grow towers to the nitrogens from the feces or whatnot go back into the plants or to the soil. You know, so it kind of recirculates. So it's like basically a rainforest, I guess you could use
Okay.
it. It just
It's
fertilizes
its own ecosystem.
Exactly.
Exactly.
It just fertilizes its own, the garden and
Yeah.
then the water. So you're not like susceptible to droughts, or you're not,
Right.
you don't introduce disease or chemicals. So they call it sexy farming.
That's a farming
Yeah.
I can get into.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is fascinating.
Yeah, so we'll have the aquaponics. We plan on having chickens and eventually maybe get some cows,
Beehives.
beehives.
Yeah.
Of course, the herbs and the vegetables and fruits and all of that. So
So would it be a stretch to call it a commune of sorts? Some people have a negative connotation.
Yeah,
with
that has a
so we
negative
don't-
stigma.
but
But more of a compound or
Okay.
a learning place.
a sanctuary.
A sanctuary.
Is what we like
beautiful.
to think of it.
Okay.
So part of this 5 acres, the veterans, and we want to point out that it's not just for the single veterans if they have families, because it's a huge transition for the families as well.
Yeah, you've been living in the barracks, and they have housing for married and
Well, and for
families.
a
Yeah.
lot of couples, the men or women are overseas, and the spouses are left here at home raising their children and all that. So when all of a sudden the veteran comes home, that in itself is a huge transition when you're used to running everything by yourself, and then all of a sudden you have a veteran here, and it's kind of getting to know each other again. Type thing. So we have it to where the families can live on site with them as well. And there's going to be a resource center, which is going to house different medical supports where we'll have the psychologists and whatnot to come in and help, where we can have meetings. But one of our biggest things is, if you notice in our logo, we have the compass. Do you want to explain that?
Right. Well, compass, anybody in the military knows that the compass is for direction. So, we got to get our azimuth or our focus right, or straight, find out where we're going in life. One of the things that we're going to do is everybody can relate, no matter who you are. If you served or if you didn't serve, everybody gets around a bonfire and everybody talks. One of the big things is we're going to have a compass. That's where our meeting point is going to be. It's a fire pit. Okay. Compass fire pit. We tend to relax more around a fire. And people tend to open up. You open up more if you got somebody you can relate to. Veterans talking to other veterans, deployment versus non-deployment. People can talk and say, "Hey, look, I remember when I went to Korea, and I did this," or I have breakfast every month with a Ranger group, and we can all say Coal Range, and everybody starts laughing because we've been there. You can relate to people around fires, and you talk, and you start, it kind of relaxes people and brings tensions down. It opens people up. Those people that aren't they're hardened. They're not willing to talk to Joe Schmo on the street about what they've done or where they've been, but they'll talk to somebody that's been there around a fire, and it's just kind of a relaxing thing.
When it's a shared experience, this is something that's unique, right? The military is a community of its own, right? It's a completely different structure from anything that civilians are really used to.
Right.
And those stories are a little bit heart-wrenching almost a lot of times, right? And and for each other to know that somebody else has been there, and you, even if you didn't know them before, you know that you can talk to them.
Right.
Exactly.
This is an actual project that's been needed. Perfect example is yesterday we went and did our taxes, and our tax person, she's a mother to a veteran that's homeless now. Doesn't know how to transition, and she broke down crying because she doesn't know what to do to help.
Right.
And there you can drive anywhere around the metro area and see homeless or disabled veteran or whatever need help, whatever, and there is nothing really for that right now.
Right.
So this is needed, and it's just taken a while to get to. I don't know why, but
and this might be a stretch of a question, but the feeling that I get from a lot of vets when they're gone is this uselessness.
Yes.
Right.
I had all of these duties and I was in charge of all of these things, and now I've got nothing. I can't get a house. I can't afford to go back to school, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so you're kind of left, and then it's really hard to ask for that help a lot of times.
It's a pride thing.
Absolutely.
There's granted everybody has that pride, but
right.
But then when you've been doing something for so long, let's look at most of them are 4 to 8 years of their enlistments, and when you get out, you have no guidance. There's nothing.
Yeah.
You got the VA. The VA's backlogged. Everybody's heard the horror stories
like
of the
crazy.
VA.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely.
You mentioned school.
Yeah.
In Texas, they've already partnered up with a couple of the different universities and whatnot, and we're in the process of doing so here in Colorado. While the veterans are on our ranch, we want to connect them with these schools. They'll be trained in different areas. So if somebody wants to be a plumber or an electrician, they'll take the classes, they'll get certified, so when they do exit our program, they have somewhere to go. Right. They're already trained. We'll help them find that job.
Yeah.
And all of that. So as I said, that's already set up in Texas, and we're in the process of setting all that up here in Colorado.
Nice.
And it's not going to be a case of us just, saying, here, you can live here, figure it out. We'll help them every step of the way, but the veterans will have to be held responsible as well.
Yeah.
We want them to learn that, and if we just, hand them money or say, here you go, they're not going to learn that concept.
Right. You've got to get out and do an experience
Exactly.
And make it true to yourself, because you're just going to be in the same situation
Exactly.
18 months later.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So during this this 18 months, there's 3 phases that they'll have to go through. Accountability, learning kind of who you are now, because you're not the same person that you were, a year ago or 2 years ago. So you kind of that what's the word I'm looking for? That, self-reliance.
Right.
Yes.
Figuring out who you are and all of that. And that's the most important one. Because if they can't get that, then nothing else is going to work. So,
Right.
We figure about 6 months is what that will take. If it takes longer, then great, because that's the most important aspect. Aside from our goal of having a ranch in every state, we want to lower the number of homeless vets. We want to lower the number of suicides.
That is a great goal to have, because the suicide rates are alarming.
They're astronomical.
22 a day, I believe, is what the last statistic said.
It's
Yeah.
so sad, but focusing on that, I think, is a great aspect to add to what you've got going on.
Exactly.
There.
So
Yeah.
even if we can just save one right now, then we've done. And even though we don't have the ranches completely built right now, from day one for 3 years, we have been helping veterans. We have a long list of people who have contacted us and they've said, I don't know what to do. I lost my job. I lost my apartment. I'm on the street or whatever. And we have been helping people. So that's good that people are already hearing about us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And reaching out to us, and we're not even completed yet.
Right. The good thing about the military is it is a community. Mm-hmm. There's different Facebook pages. There's different support groups of each unit, and other people have, you've got co-friends in this unit or whatever. People can reach out and contact us. We've got contacts all over the U.S. I literally know somebody in every state that's a veteran.
Yeah.
And we can point them. We've had people in Texas call us up here in Colorado and say, hey, we've got this guy that's living in a hotel. He's got nothing. He's got, what can we do to help him out? So we try to get this guy on the right path and put him into our VA counselors, or to where he can, at least get the help he needs, to get out of that hotel room.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So I have a question for
Yes.
you as far as this goes. Obviously, this is very voluntary, right?
Correct.
They come to you, and you mentioned the phases.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever have you had anyone yet that you feel has left too early? Or is that something that you would try to prevent? How
we
would that
try,
work?
yeah. If none of these dates are set in stone on a phase
Right.
level. If you're good in your phase, finding out where you want to be in life in 3 weeks to 2 months, then
Yeah.
let's get you to phase 2. We don't need to have you there 18 months if you don't
Right.
need to be there. But if we can't help you, if there's some people out there that just don't want your help. They'll come there, they'll play the game, or they'll do whatever, and they'll say, hey, look, I want to be helped, and then they fall by the wayside, and then you can't force them to help themselves.
Right.
It happens. It's a sad thing, but it happens.
Right, and I just wanted to clarify that aspect
Oh, yeah.
of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's totally voluntary, but I'm sure there are people that do come and just they're pretty lost, and sometimes that's but the fact that you've got this and that people can go and they're already hearing about it. And speaking of hearing about it, where would I go to want to apply to live?
So our website is www.regroup4vets, and 4 is the number 4. It has all our information on there. Right now we do rely heavily on donations and all sponsorships and whatnot.
Volunteer hours.
Volunteers are huge. But that's where all the information can be found.
And it's .com or .org?
.com.
.com. Regroupforvets.com. Thank you.
And that's the number 4. And if you, there's our team members, which has Paul and I, Antonio and Stephanie, and it has our contact information. So if somebody from Colorado looks at the website and needs to reach out, any of the numbers on there will get answered and directed to the right person.
I mean,
it is.
We might not get you at 3 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning, but somebody will get to you.
Yes.
Yes, that is wonderful to know.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So just a quick, the reason that we're focusing on veteran services this week is because of Colorado Gives a Damn, and that is supporting Valor Bridge, the AUSA, that's the Association of the United States Army, the Denver Centennial Chapter, and the Warrior Bonfire Program. And that event is from 5:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. on Tuesday, March 6th at the Falls Event Center in Littleton. And it is $100 a ticket. And we're going to be doing MREs, so we'll be cooking our own MRE. I know, this was probably, I don't know how I feel, but I was like, do I have to go? But I'm actually very excited for it. So they'll break people up into teams, and each team will receive a soldier to help us make an MRE, and then you have to try it, and it's going to be judged.
Well, there's
I feel
funny,
bad for the judges.
It's funny because there's some things that like with MREs, back in the day when I was in, number 7 with the tuna and noodles, I mean, you can make chef meals, peaches and cream. You can make like all kinds of things and little tricks of the trade on how to prepare the food, so
make it better.
So it's not like cardboard.
Exactly. It's so I'm a part-time flight attendant, and so I have a lot of vets that travel in the air, and always I've never not seen somebody with hot sauce in their pocket, right?
That is gold.
They carry,
hot
which
sauce is gold.
Yeah, I also carry hot sauce packets too, but because airplane food. But so yeah, that's one thing that I've definitely seen. So just one more. So we are coming to Colorado. You're not quite finished. Do we have a finish date for when you'll be fully open? Not that you aren't, but
yeah, we are going to be announcing the new Colorado location here, hopefully within the next few weeks. It's in the final logistics of that. All ranches are going to be within 30 minutes of a VA hospital.
Oh wow! Okay.
We want
That's
that.
nice.
We want that close proximity.
Yeah.
We want it convenient for the veterans to get where they need to go, and all of that. So, but the Colorado location, like I said, we'll be announcing that hopefully within the next few weeks. It'll be a 5-acre ranch, and then the one in Texas, it is currently being built, like we've said, and that's kind of what got us started. Right. We believed in what Antonio and Stephanie had been saying, but when we went to Texas in June and we saw with our own eyes
the progress,
we were like, we have to be a part of this. So
wonderful.
With anything with like programs wise, with veterans dealing with that, everybody's used to the snail pace,
Right.
So when Antonio and Stephanie were first like, yeah, we want to do this for the veterans, and I'm like, okay, whatever, it's going to take 6 years, 10 years, whatever. And then a couple months later, we go down there and we actually see them building, and we're like, wow, okay. And that's when things like reality hits you in the face. You're like, okay, this is real.
It's getting done.
Yeah. So now, me being a veteran and having gone through some of that stuff and seeing Antonio's story and knowing Antonio's story, and you're like, okay, what do I got to do now?
Yeah.
Now it's time to step up to the plate because it hits me. So I mean.
Yeah. Hopefully other people will be inspired to start, right?
Exactly.
And so you did, actually, we are getting close to our break time here, so we're going to take a quick break, but stay with us here on Connect and Collaborate. Check out our radio page so you can find out where to donate. We will have the ReGroup for Vets.com website up, and that's 4. Stay with us here on Connect and Collaborate. We'll be right back. Hi, I'm Alex Hopkins. Welcome back to Connect and Collaborate. And this week, again, we are focusing on the military veteran services through an event hosted by the Colorado Business Roundtable called Colorado Gives a Damn, and it supports Valor Bridge and the Association of the United States Army, the Denver Centennial Chapter, and the Warrior Bonfire Program. And that event is Tuesday, March 6th from 5:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. at the Falls Event Center in Littleton. And we're going to have some fun things. We're going to have drinks and food and more than just the MREs that we talked about. But we're having an MRE cook-off challenge, and we're going to do a retirement of the U.S. flag at that event. But we also wanted to get in touch with other veteran services, right? There are several across the country, and Trenda and I talked a little bit before the show, and she mentioned, we're not competing, right?
We're not.
You all have one goal in mind, and that's to take care of our vets who have taken care of the defense of this country, right?
Exactly.
And so you guys have... ReGroup Foundation is who is with us, and this is Trenda and Paul Snetzinger. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so the ReGroup Foundation started in Texas, and we now have a Colorado, and we're looking at a third location already, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our third location, we're focusing on Florida.
Okay.
The reason Texas, Colorado, and Florida were the top three were
where the most veterans come
okay.
after they get out of the military.
Interesting. Which I kind of get Texas and Florida for the warm weather and right.
Mm-hmm.
But Colorado I found interesting. But the Air Force Base is here, so it makes a lot of sense.
Air Force.
A lot of outdoor activities, hunting, fishing, camping, stuff like that. So it's a good destination to settle down.
All right.
Yeah. So in Florida, we're on the lookout for the property.
Mm-hmm.
So if anybody knows of any potential
Yeah.
property there in Florida, that would be great. We're 5 acres is our preferred. Eventually, we want to, especially here in Colorado, with the cattle and everything, we would love to be able to expand and on the 5 acres. But 5 acres is about perfect for the ranches that we are currently putting together. So,
If I just want to ask real quick, can we talk a little bit one more time about what's on these ranches?
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
so it'll be the housing that will house the veterans and their families. It'll be a resource building which will hold the medical support, the education support.
Church.
There will be a chapel, non-denominational chapel on site, a gym so the veterans can exercise and work out their frustrations and all of that. The Compass Fire Pit for the evening.
Most importantly, the garden.
Yeah, and then of course
Yeah.
the self-sustaining environment, which will be the aquaponics and the chickens and the bees and all of that good stuff. So, if anybody would be interested in donating any of the items that we're going to be needing for that would be awesome. Right now we're looking at connexes for the housing.
Okay.
Transform those into
The tiny home living is a thing now, so
I personally would love to do that.
Yeah.
I just got to find space for it, right?
Yeah.
And it's cheaper to buy land these days than real estate, actually,
Yeah.
especially in Colorado. Everything's gone up phenomenally in the last few years.
Yeah, exactly. So, but the cool thing you had mentioned that, we don't want to compete with any of the other military organizations out there. We want to work with them.
We can introduce her if you want to.
This is Savannah. This is Paul's service dog.
And Savannah, she's very sweet.
She's in training, so.
Okay.
But we want to collaborate with them, where we may be strong in one aspect, another group may be a lot stronger in another aspect. So we can collaborate on that. We can help one another. And,
there's more than enough problems to help out.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And more than enough veterans out there that need the help. So we might as well collaborate and make it a dual effort.
Absolutely. Well, and speaking of, working on these, you've got a couple of campaigns coming up.
Exactly. Our primary one is called Your 2 Cents Matters. And basically, when you break it down, if we were to have every adult in America donate just 2 cents, 2 pennies, that would allow us to build 118 ReGroup ranches and provide services for over 20,000 veterans.
That's amazing.
So, you know, when people say, oh, you can keep, you know, when you check out at the grocery store, keep the pennies, I don't need them. Just remember those 2 pennies literally could save a veteran's life.
Right. Well, and everyone likes to put their 2 cents, you know, on Facebook and all sorts of social media. So put your money where your mouth is.
Exactly.
Get that real 2 cents.
Exactly.
To a cause.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, you know, people don't realize those statistics. And I know personally for us, when we saw that, we were like, wow, because, you know, your average person has no problem going to Starbucks and spending $6 on a latte.
Exactly.
You know, so, but 2 cents, it can seriously make a difference.
I don't even think you can buy Bazooka gum for 2 cents anymore.
No,
I don't.
No, it's definitely, it's like a 50-cent stick of gum now.
Exactly.
Yeah, so and like you said, the take a penny, leave a penny at the grocery store, at the gas station.
Exactly.
That can 2 cents helps save a vet's life. That's amazing. 20,000 vets can be helped.
Exactly.
Every adult in America.
I know we have a penny jar, and when you visualize your penny jar with these statistics, you're like, wow.
Look at how much I could do.
Exactly.
Right.
You know, so.
And we literally have a penny jar, and then we've got the silvers, like the coins.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, it's, if we can kind of, you know, retrain the people to say, you know, hey, 2 pennies, and put them in a penny jar, and, you know, then give us, when that penny jar is filled, give us a call. We'll come pick it up, and, you know that you are making a difference. We are a 501(c), so any donations you make to us, you will get a tax tax write-off, and a receipt for that. So, you know, you just really cannot argue with the statistics.
No,
you really can't.
Not at all. And I think that's, 2 cents, right? And, you know, not everybody has money, but everyone's got a little bit of time, right?
Exactly.
And is there is there a campaign where people can volunteer, right?
Yes. There's on the website, there is a form that you can fill out to volunteer, phone numbers that you can call to do that. We're always looking for volunteers. In August, we are having our first major Colorado fundraiser, and it's going to be a golf tournament. It's going to be held over at the Highland Hills golf course over in Westminster.
Yeah.
Our goal is to have a minimum of 125 players. So that's our goal. Hopefully we can have a lot more.
There's a lot of volunteer hours needed for setup and takedown or whatnot. So we don't need just players. I mean, we could use volunteers.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, and you know, I would love to drive a golf cart for you and do some day drinking.
There you go.
So you'll fit right in with the military community.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like I said, that's on August 25th. We have a link on our website that people can already pre-register for that.
Awesome.
We're looking for teams of 4. The cost is $150 per player, and that includes a breakfast buffet, a lunch buffet, the cart rental.
That's quite a bit for
Exactly.
$150.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gift card to the pro shop.
A little gift card to the shop there, and ReGroup will make some pretty good money, hopefully.
Yeah. What
So,
a great tournament. Yeah.
Yeah. So the cool thing too is right next door there's a little go-kart and putt-putt golf thing. And so if you have a family and the husband wants to golf or the wife wants to golf but has nothing to do with the kids, we're selling unlimited day passes to there for $25, in which a portion of those sales also come to ReGroup.
Right. But
So
drop the kids off.
Exactly, and go golf.
Yeah, it's right next door. So
They share the same parking lot, so it's
and it's a one-stop shop for you.
Exactly.
there you go.
Yeah.
So there will be a silent auction there, and we're hoping to find some what we call celebrity teams. We have some connections through some personal
locally,
friends, and so we're hoping that we can get some, as we call it, celebrity celebrity teams.
Yeah, how fun. That's
Yeah,
exciting, right?
yeah.
Be sure to check that out. Regroup 4 Vets. It's the number 4.com. So tell us, so we're a couple weeks away from opening the Colorado.
From announcing the
Announcing the
I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay.
Announcing the Colorado location.
Exactly.
So we've got these awesome. It looks like it's going to be amazing. It's 5 acres, right?
Yes.
And how many vets can you house at one time?
Each ranch will house around approximately 32 to 35 veterans.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so, that number will depend on if they're single veterans or if they have families and whatnot. So,
Right.
It's not the largest, but,
Every bit counts.
But we
Exactly.
got to start.
Exactly.
You've got to start somewhere. And like you said, they're all within 30 minutes of a VA hospital.
Correct.
So there's medical located nearby. You guys help them get involved with education. This is just awesome. And so obviously it was born from Antonio Ruiz and his partner, Stephanie.
Mm-hmm.
And so Antonio actually was, he served Special Forces, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and so he served Special Forces, and he spent some time in prison, as we mentioned in the first segment. And I'm sure that was a wake-up call, right?
It was.
Yeah, and so personal stories really, really matter here. And so is there anything that you would like to share about what made your heart flutter at this thought of being able to help with Regroup?
Well, for me personally, I've always had a respect for the military. My dad was in the Army. My grandfather was in the Navy. So I was raised with that respect and everything. It wasn't until I met Paul that that respect was even greater. Mm-hmm. I see, things that he goes through still, and it's just, I'll never be able to express the amount of respect and appreciation that I now have for our veterans. And as Paul explained, we went to Texas in June just for a little getaway, and it was when we stepped on the Texas property and we saw, what they're doing and how they're doing it, and the way that Antonio and Stephanie are literally devoting their entire lives to the cause. We pulled away, and it was kind of emotional for us. Right. It was, kind of had tears in our eyes, and we need to be a part of this.
For me, mine's a lot more personal because, I've gone to I don't know how many funerals of my brothers and sisters, and one of them in particular is Sergeant Cummerly's. His 5-year-old son was banging on his coffin, screaming he wants his dad back. So that kind of hits you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I get emotional about it still. I mean, going to these funerals or going to because people are losing direction. They're not able to ask for help, or it takes a toll on you.
Yeah.
And then after so many funerals, you start to go numb, and then once you go numb, then you start getting into that funk. And for me, I got into that funk. I was numb. I was an emotionless person, Now I'm starting to be able to open up and be able to talk to people and say, asking for help is a huge ego thing.
Yeah.
for a lot of guys. Coming out of the military, especially, the infantry guys or the special forces or they did things with their teams, and you don't ask for help, you just do. And, coming out of this and seeing people that are not able to ask for help and then tragically losing their life because of that, that I'm tired of going to funerals, and I'm tired of seeing in our communities of people that are killing themselves or that are lost in the system. So
Mm-hmm.
so it's something I kind of had to say, enough is enough.
Absolutely. And it's we mentioned that it's about 22 soldiers a day, vets a day, that are committing suicide. And we spoke with Mike Foss, who is with the Valor Bridge Foundation, and I just have to share this. A lot of people, because the VA does get backed up, right? And so you can't always call somebody I've met several people where they've tried to call a hotline, and there's not enough staff to answer that phone call, right? Or if you're just not comfortable with making a phone call, there is a number that any vet can text, and it's 838-255. And I personally think that's a wonderful avenue, right? Because not everybody wants their family to hear.
Exactly.
You've already taken on this burden so much, and the last thing you want to do is talk out loud and have somebody overhear you talking about it. So 838-255 is a number you can text at any time that you feel you're in danger, or if you know somebody that you are concerned about their well-being, you can text that number too. And I agree with you. It's heartbreaking, and it's got to be hard to watch your friends go through that, right? And then there's the survivor's guilt.
Right.
Right. Why didn't this hit me as hard? Why do they feel like this is the only avenue that they've got? And it's heartbreaking, and I'm so glad that you guys have a way to help people with this, right? And you mentioned that you're going to have some therapy services as well available.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's kind of one of the purposes behind the fire pit. We want the veterans to know they're not alone.
Right.
And, we're here to support them in any way that we possibly can, whether it's through a fire pit at night or the educational training or
we're just coming to bang on our door, just to come over, because we're actually going to be there. We're 24/7. We're actually in that,
Yeah.
So bang on our door, call our phone, whatever. Just.
It's to having access and to know, right, that you yourself served.
Right.
Exactly.
So you can relate. It's not like you're a civilian trying to help, which by all means, civilians helping is great. But vets have a harder time relating to that, right? You can't be that. You can't know. Yeah, it's
exactly.
not.
And it's funny that you say that, because that's one of the first important conversations we had when we were just dating. I'll never be a vet. But now I'm a veteran spouse, and so maybe my experiences can help another veteran spouse,
right? Or
we have, our children are grown for the most part, we have grandchildren, so helping the little children and all of that. So his expertise is going to be more towards the veterans. Mine can be more towards the spouses and the children. And
here's something that people never ever take into account on this either, is that when, and Trenda talked about it earlier a little bit, is that when the service member deploys, the spouse that stays back is also deployed. They go through the same things because they've got the emotional roller coaster that hey, is something going to happen to my spouse, or hey, I've got to make sure my bills are paid, so she can take care of that aspect. She understands that aspect more than I do, because I was over here,
right,
and she's over here, so she can help the spouses or the dependents on how to cope with what's going on with the veteran, and then we can cope with the veterans, or we can help and we can relate to what they're going through, because a lot of us have been there, or we've seen that, or we've so we've got both perspectives coming in, so we're able to tag team this.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So you mentioned that you stepped onto the Texas property. Were you there for a bonfire that they had, or did you get to?
No, because the ranch is still being erected.
Okay.
So
they're
still in the progress of building. But we walked the property. In Texas, it's 3.5 acres, and we walked the property, and we saw where the water silo is and where the aquaponics are going, and it just had a different feeling, and I know that sounds
serenity feeling.
Yeah, it was literally a sanctuary, and it, like I said, we became emotional about it, and we were like, yeah, we need to be a part of that, and we came home, and
And I guess in a roundabout way, yes, we did sit at a bonfire, so to speak, because we actually sat there on the property, and I've known Antonio for a while, for a long time. He's one of my Ranger brothers. But we sat there and we talked about this, what the goals and the dreams are of ReGroup. And Stephanie and Trenda sat there and they talked, and we kind of just formulated everything, like what can we do to help, or how we can build here in Colorado or in Florida, or expand more locations in Texas,
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is very therapeutic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's beautiful that you guys decided to get involved yourselves, right?
Exactly. Unfortunately, we can't do it ourselves. So, we would love any volunteers. We would love any donations, sponsorships, any of that, because it's estimated that each ranch will cost between $8 and $9 million to build. So, any money that is raised through Colorado events will go strictly to the Colorado Ranch. If there's any sponsorships or donations made to the group itself, then with no specific direction on where you want that money to go, then it will be split among all the ranches. And it's just important for us to know that your money makes a difference. Your 2 cents makes a difference. And I guess if people don't believe in that, then we have even more work to do. But I know Paul and I are committed to that, and we'll do whatever we can.
That is lovely. And we can find you guys at regroupforvets.com, and that's the number 4. And you've got some social media you mentioned. I know we've got a Facebook page.
Instagram,
okay.
Yeah, so on Facebook, we're ReGroup Foundation. If you're want to be part of the news and volunteers and all that, like our page and introduce yourself. And we are following, we call the regroupies. So
I like that.
yeah, so just like our page, and we give all the information about our upcoming fundraisers and events in both Colorado and Texas. And if you go to Texas, it's in New Braunfels, which is outside of San Antonio.
Okay.
Let Antonio and Stephanie know. They'll be more than happy to show you what's being built and how it's happening. And I guarantee you, once you see it for yourself, you're going to want to be a part of it.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. We have Trenda and Paul Snetzinger with the ReGroup Foundation, and that is capital R-E, capital G, group, and then foundation. And again, we are focusing our attention this week on military veteran services, and the event that is surrounding is Colorado Gives a Damn, supporting Valor Bridge, the Association of the United States Army, the Denver Centennial Chapter, and the Warrior Bonfire Program. It is $100 a ticket, and we will be out at the Falls Event Center in Littleton from 5:30 to 9 o'clock p.m. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll have music and drinks and the retirement of the flag out there. But if you can't make it to this, if you aren't able to donate to those, please hit up the ReGroup Foundation. And thank you so much for joining us today on Connect and Collaborate. It's been
Thank
a
you for
pleasure
having us.
Thank you.
Yeah, and be sure to follow us at covert.com.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.